Emperor Rolnar marched through the ash-choked streets of what was once Earth, flanked by hundreds of security agents and support personnel. They marched in unison towards the last building left non-decimated in this desecrated world. Bodies, blood, and gore were ever present, filling in craters, dips, and depressions like a sick biological concrete. Death was everywhere on this once mighty world, yet how it came to be is a story what remains of the galaxy would rather leave unheard. In the year 2796, first contact with a bipedal race of omnivores was made in orbit of Icarus 1b 172, a red supergiant star under close study due to its high probability of exploding in a supernova within a standard cycle. They were in an overlooked part of the galaxy and thus had stayed under our radar for quite some time. Yet in this time they had advanced into a powerful interstellar empire. These bipedal omnivores would end up being humans. They had sent a scientific research vessel to this system, much like we had, in hopes of studying the last moments of a dying star. This star was known to them as Betelgeuse, a very culturally significant star in one of their most prominent constellations. The star was set to explode in 1 human month, and the researchers of both parties were more interested in the star than each other. As was standard procedure with first contact, a boarding party was sent to secure the new species, and hopefully, peacefully take them into a questioning facility. From there, an evaluation would be held regarding the eligibility of said species to join the empire of the stars. Unfortunately, the humans had a society in which boarding was synonymous with aggression. They responded likewise, killing over half of the detail sent to secure them. 57 humans were killed, and over 568 Imperial shock troopers were killed during the boarding. Such horrendous casualties would only be a precursor of what was to come. Within the day, 5 human warships had assembled in the Betelgeuse system. They were broadcasting on all frequencies for 5 hours and 30 minutes, something pertaining to the sun never setting, before 10 warships of the Imperial fleet jumped into the system. Within 10 minutes, hostilities erupted. All Imperial ships were destroyed, and all but 1 human ship was destroyed. The remaining human ship, Royal Flame, began to sift through the wreckage of Imperial ships, and what they found sealed the fate of quintillions of beings. Coordinates to every single system in the Empire, naval tactics, communications, and economics. Everything the Empire had at its disposal was turned against us. Upon finding such a treasure trove of information, humanity pounced upon everything they could get their hands on. Money was siphoned into nothingness, and communications were completely shut down. Our economy was all but shattered. While our empire was in the dark, our convoys and logistics vessels were ambushed and destroyed. Not only was our empire's economy on life support, but humanity was also actively nuking the plug from orbit. Humans were overzealous in their efforts, however. They were a nation of a very small number of stars. Our hundreds of thousands were not capable of being stopped for long. Our fleets regained the initiative and purged them station by station, world by world, and star by star. The war was a losing one for the humans. We were in ruins. They were turned to dust. When our fleets finally reached Earth after 50 years of fighting, they launched billions of drones, ships, munitions, and lives to stop our advance. We nearly lost everything, but they broke before our fleets did. They took down such a terrible number that our growth rate across the stars slumped by an entire order of magnitude. Whether or not humanity was justified in its war against the Empire was widely debated across the Empire. They only tried to survive after all. But at the end of the day, they had won, and to the victor go the spoils. Or so the Empire thought. When the Emperor and his entourage entered the final tomb of humanity, they were greeted by a massive hallway that descended well over 25 miles below the surface. After taking a vehicle down the hall, the entourage was greeted by a massive array of screens and supercomputers. They had entered the crypt of the human leader, Queen Elizabeth II. The screens all displayed the visage of an elderly woman standing in front of a large clock tower. She greeted the entourage with a smile and said, "Welcome to the underground section of Buckingham Palace. I hope the accommodations pertain to your liking." The Emperor was stunned. "How do you still live?" "Always have. Always will. This computer contains but a shred of my collective consciousness." "Perhaps we should travel to your palace for tea." "Tea? The entire world seemed to rumble and come to life. Massive drives and thrusters spun up and unveiled themselves. After a matter of minutes, the entire planet entered FTL. The Emperor panicked and began to flee the underground bunker. He reached the surface just in time for Earth to come back to reality. The smog had completely cleared, replaced by a beautiful visage of Empyrean, the throne system of the Empire. Empirus, the star of the system, was dimmed by a gargantuan ring that encased it. On the surface lived over 1 quadrillion beings. The mere presence of Earth's gravity was placing an enormous strain on the structure, and security forces were already on the way. Monitors and loudspeakers began to arise from the glassed ground. "This palace is nice, but not satisfactory to a queen. Renovations are in order." The Emperor was confused. He muttered, "Reservations?" Just then, the pieces in his mind clicked and came to a shocking realization. He panicked and tried to flee to his spacecraft, but it was too late. The massive engines of the planet were racing at full speed towards the ring. Even before the impact, the ring buckled under the tremendous strength of Earth's gravity long before the collision. It shattered into billions of pieces in a glorious volley of explosions. Like a pane of glass being smashed by a guided missile, the overkill was absolute. When the first impact occurred, the computers containing the consciousness of the Queen and everyone else on Earth lifted off, content in the fact that they'd had their revenge. The ring and everyone on it, as well as the Emperor and his entourage, were destroyed. Human victory was absolute. Humanity seemingly lost everything, but in reality, just made themselves look weak to protect their true secret. Ark ships had seeded the entire uninhabited galaxy, and the human economy and industrial capacity were only growing. All of the Empire's strength was negligible compared to the human knowledge gained in the first months of the war. It would be another 1,000 years before the dust settled, humanity and the Empire resting in a turbulent peace. In those 1,000 years, countless emperors rose and fell, but the Queen still remained. Only one thing could be learned from this insane fact. The sun never truly sets on the human empire.